Okay, fantastic. Here we are again with our arts program share. Thanks for joining in and watching. We are going to get started with Eric Hutchinson, and I'll let Eric introduce himself and tell you a little bit more about his program. But I'm super excited because he is doing Broadway on a budget, doing a theater program to fit your why. Eric was also one of the semifinalists and the online winner of our YMCA General Assembly Song Contest. So that chance, definitely go and check out his amazingly fantastic video. And so, Eric, it is yours.
Thank you very much, Kristen, for that introduction. Thank you very much for inviting me to host this webinar today. We're going to be talking about some ways to create a successful theater program in your YMCA. First, I'd like to just kind of tell you a little bit about my background and the background of our program so you can get an idea where we're coming from. I've been with the YMCA for about 4 years now. In addition to working at the Y, I'm also the jazz band, drumline, and musical theater director for Rockville High School in Vernon, Connecticut. I own a small production company called Imagine Stage Productions that does a lot of shows, concerts, and has a small record label attached to it as well. My collegiate studies at Berklee College of Music in Boston, where I have degrees in education, performance, and songwriting. And I've also taught theater and music in a number of towns around Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Virginia. So I've gotten a good feel for what's out there and how to start a program for the beginning. As far as our why, just so you can kind of size, Director of Humanities for the New Britain YMCA in New Britain, Connecticut. We're an independent Y with our main branch located in New Britain and a satellite child care center located a few miles down the road in Berlin, Connecticut. We've been a little while. This is actually our 130th birthday this year. Personally, I don't think we look a day over 80, but that remains to be seen. To give you all an idea of our size for comparison, New Britain is the 8th largest city in Connecticut with about 70,000 residents. Our city houses several theaters, music programs, and museums, which can be kind of a blessing and a curse because everybody supports our task with that love of the arts. However, it can be also quite difficult to set a program. People have any options out there. They really need a reason to come why for their programming. So you really have to be the best at what you do in order to be successful in the community. A few things about our Arts and Humanities Department. We're pretty new. We officially began on September 4th of 2012, so we just had our first birthday of the department. We've been hosting music and dance and things like that before, just kind of independently here and there, but we fully launched our department.
To unmute your line, press *6 or #6.
I was hired as a full-time director and then the lone employee of the department at the time. We really didn't have much money to dedicate to this venture, so we were expected to be, and are still expected to be, fairly self-sustaining. Now, over a year later, we've established several successful programs. We have, of course, our theater program. We also teach a number of private music lessons daily. We run a community drumline made up of some of the most talented drummers from local area high schools. We have a YMCA a cappella choir called Tenacious Key, so if there's any Jack Black fans out there, you might get that one. We have a thriving music production and engineering program we run in our small recording studio, as well as several other workshops and events throughout the year. But that's kind of enough history on us. Start talking about your music programs and theater programs now. A common misconception when start a program is the if you build it, they will come theory. This isn't always the case. Sometimes it's going to take a lot of trial and error before you can create a theater program that will actually sell. And that's okay. You need to realize that it's going to start slow and things are going to build from there. A lot of people expect it to happen all at once and get discouraged when it doesn't. But that's definitely okay. You can't be afraid to kind of throw ideas out into your membership community and see what sticks. Well, up on the screen right now, you can see a few of our, what we call our early theatrical failures in New Britain. Our concept was simple when we started. We just kind of started a small acting program to let people know that we were out there and get our feet wet. So first pitch of this was a 6-week workshop we called Fairy Tale Theater. Each week we would read a different fairy tale, and then our young actors would select a character, pick out the costume pieces, and at the end of each class, we would have one class a week. They would perform a short play about the fairy tale. So they really got to take on their character, decide who it was, and then decide every element of that show. In theory, it sounds like a solid program, The only problem was we only had 2 kids register for that workshop, even though it was well advertised. So I will say that we later ended up running that program for free during Y Arts Week as an extension of our aftercare program. The kids loved it. So the program itself was solid. It's just it was difficult to get the word out and find kids that were interested in something like that. I'm sure you know that you can't build a successful business if you're giving away all your services for free, but you want to also let people know that you're out there and offer them something to kind of progress with you. Once we pitched variations on that class, changing the price, time, age group, etc. Although at a few bites, nothing substantial came of it. About this point that we started to realize that if we wanted our piece of the artistic pie, as it were, in this community, then we had to do something big that would make us stand out. So I guess here's where the actual advice starts. It's my opinion that if you're going to start a theater program, then you need to do something big. And common misconception here is big, you spend a lot of money. It's not the case. Clearly, we didn't have it to spend, but you need to do something that shows that you're out there and to make a big impact. I find that the easy way, right off the bat, to do something big is to choose a big name production that people will know. If they claim that they know already, then the interest factor will probably be through the roof. I've gotten dozens of shows in my career, and most of the time I'll work through a company called Music Theater International. And they own a lot of the rights to many popular shows out there, and they have an awesome website. It's www.mtishows.com with a ton of popular shows and resources. So if you go to the website, you can order your materials, you can apply for your license, you can pay for your license, and do your research right in one spot. They have cool resource videos to take a look at. It'll give you a sample of your cast, costume ideas. It'll show you where in your community that show is being performed, so you can go see a show. Kind of a cool tool to use. If you get a chance to check out mtishows.com, that's a fantastic resource. If you're about ready to request a license, there are many factors that will go into deciding what price you'll pay. Now, as YMCA, we're already in a unique position where we're a nonprofit and we don't get charged as much because they know we're out to make a lot of money. So it works to our financial benefit. The rate will change depending on the popularity of the title that you choose, your ticket price, audience size, number of shows, and so on. Now, many shows can be quite expensive. It's uncommon to pay $1,800 plus to rent your music and scripts, which to some people could be, prohibitively expensive. However, if you're just starting out, MTI offers a number of what they call junior shows, which are basically simplified versions of the real thing. And I'll admit that this year was the first time I've ever licensed a junior show. I kind of always looked at it as the easy way out. If you're going to do something, you might as well do the flow. But when I actually took a look at that and saw what it could do to jumpstart a program, I'm all about it, and I'm glad that I did. We actually licensed Beauty and the Beast Junior this year. So here's the reasons why a junior show can be appealing to you. First of all, they're much, much cheaper. We're paying about $750 for a license in all materials. Secondly, you get to keep all your materials, not just rent. And when you're purchasing a regular MTI show, you're basically renting the books from them for an extended period of time, along with your license to perform the show. But you get to keep all the materials. You can write in it, encourage kids to take it home, mark it up, do what they have to do. This includes your scripts, your music, really cool choreography DVD that shows some simple dance moves. If maybe you don't have a choreographer, this is a very affordable way to incorporate some choreography into your production. Reference recordings both with vocals and without. So if you wanted to use that CD as the background for your show, you can absolutely do that. And suggested staging to kind of where blocking is around the stage. So the show in a box, which is awesome. Also, a great thing about a junior show is they allow you to do unlimited performances within a 30-day period. You're charged per show. Something maybe you might know if you've done a show before in a different location, they actually charge you a royalty fee. It might be $150 per performance they're charging you. But this way allows you to do unlimited shows within that month. So that's great if you're trying to talk to some camps where you're going to do multiple shows per day. You can actually make some revenue on that rather than having it cost you. So once you pick out your show and you find something you like, then the next step is to kind of sit down and create yourself a budget. This is a huge part in the whole production factor. So in your budget, make sure you factor in things like your license that you just bought. Do you buy a junior show with a CD, or do you have to pay a piano player or an orchestra? Depending on your size show, that's definitely something to factor in because that can get pricey. The cost of costumes and sets, stipends for your directors if you're not directing the show yourself, your lighting and sound rental, performance rental space, and marketing. The revenue side, to kind of see how that's going to balance out, what are you going to charge for your registration? How many seats does your performance space have, and what will your ticket cost be per seat? Sell ad space to supplement the cost of the productions and things like that. I'm not trying to scare anybody by saying this, but there's an awfully good chance that in your first year, your first production, you're not going to turn a profit. And that's okay. That's to be expected as long as it's really agreed upon in your organization that the idea is to build your program and to get the word out about your program so that you can have retention for next year. It's okay to not make a profit. And when I was starting this program, I spoke with lots of community theaters in the area too, and they said that it's very difficult to start up that makes any money in the first year. Just kind of keep that in mind as you're going forward. Don't get discouraged there. Next, what you're going to have to do is determine where you're going to hold your performances. Now, YMCAs are lucky enough to have an auditorium with a stage and sound and lighting and all that great stuff. Some aren't. Some of you will have to rent performance spaces from local high schools, theaters, or community centers. If you're doing that and go to somebody else's space, that's great, but there's a few things that you need to look at while you're evaluating that performance space. Thing to kind of take of is how many seats are there in the room? Is there a stage in the space, or do I need to bring one in? Is sound and lighting installed, or will that be an additional rental cost? Is the proper backstage area for the actors to pass safely on and off stage? How close is my rehearsal location to the performance location? That's a big one. Because if you use a theater that's too far away from your rehearsal location, you might lose actors or audience members who aren't willing to travel. So to go 2 or 3 towns over if you can avoid it. Try to find something that's very close to your Y. And more importantly, is this going to be a cost-effective space for us? If you find a great theater that has everything they need, but they're giving you an arm and a leg, clearly you're going to be in a bad spot. As we know, when it comes budget time. And I know we all answer to our executive directors and CEOs on the budget stuff, so that can be an important factor there. We ended up using and converting an unused conference room that we right in the Y to a 100-seat black box theater. We used a grant to build our stage, and we found a local construction company that would take their time to build it. So to build the stage, the total cost was $500 that was covered by that grant, and it took us about 5 hours from the time we left Home Depot with all the wood until the time I was standing on the stage later that afternoon. So it was quick, it was easy. There are people that are willing to help, so kind of see that out. But it was great in that space. We then added 100 removable seats. We ran lighting and sound and some black drape to cover the windows and make the space look fancy. And it actually ended up looking really cool. It was better than any theater we could have rented around here, and it was, at the end of our own hallway, which was awesome because you don't want to be running back and forth between your office and an off-site location, especially during tech week when you're trying to get things off the ground. We have that stage in that room set up forever and ever, so it's not like we're going to have to spend that money again. So for costs, we were quite pleased with that. Moving right along. Once set up, start marketing your program. This is huge. You got to market your program hard, or nobody's going to know that you're there. So the first thing that we did was create a teaser poster that we posted well in advance. You can kind of see that in the image on the left-hand side there. It says coming soon, 2013. We put up in January, I think right around the first of the year, even though we weren't going to have auditions until May or so. So that people looking through would have the opportunity to finally, open their eyes and notice it, talk about it, and, we get hyped up about it. So we put the teaser poster. That's a big one. also want to give people plenty of advance notice because a large production like this is a huge commitment, so people need to block off the dates, reserve time, and also there's a lot going on, so you never want to be the last person to get your information out. Make sure it's out there so that if they do have the option of different arts and theater programs, yours is the first one that they think of. All right. Social media. I'm a huge proponent of social media. Please use social media to your benefit. Everybody and their grandma has a Facebook page right now. We know that. New accounts are hatching every day. This is free marketing. So Y probably has a Facebook page already. I found it helpful to create a separate page dedicated to our theater program. This allows us to kind of relentlessly market to the people who show an interest and not annoy all our other members who are just here to schedule their workout. Once you've set up this account, don't just sit on it, but make sure you're posting regular updates, your photos, ask questions, and get a conversation started right on your timeline. If you ask a question and get people to respond to you, those other people that people are viewing this page, and it kind of gets people interested and active. That you're an active presence in your community. That's important. If an important announcement, you might ask your school district or town if they would share that status on their Facebook page. In the city of New Britain, we have an excellent relationship with our school district. And if I request that they post something, just send them a Facebook message. Will you post this, from the YMCA? It's on their page within 5 minutes. And the school district has a massive following. Every parent is on there. So that's a great way to get some information out about this. And it didn't cost you a cent. Kids love Facebook and Twitter. So if you find one or two kids who are willing to like every status and share all your information and retweet it to their friends and get the message out, this kind of marketing that can leave a huge footprint. Find a couple of champions that are willing to work on the side, and that's fantastic marketing right now. So now that you've got your word out, you're going to be looking for a staff. There's another big one. If you notice, they're all big ones. We'll be directing the show yourself, and if not, you're going to have to put together a great staff who's able to take the show from the pitch to the stage, as they say. If this is your first time, it can be kind of hard to know where to look for this sort of thing. I suggest checking with local theater majors if you have a college nearby, dance instructors, school music teachers, that sort of thing. Really think about who you hire. Not just are they going to be good for the job, but a good question to yourself is, do they already have a following in your community? Is there a local band director and the kids love them, or a choir director or something like that? Will kids come to you just because of who they are? That's a great way to drive your program in the early months, is to find somebody that has a following and will bring people with them. You also need to consider how you're going to pay these people. The stipend position, or are you paying hourly? At this point, I kind of advocate for the stipend positions from the director point of view. Just so many hours involved in directing a show that you sit down and calculate and compute, and you're worried about, how often am I paying these people? How many hours did they work this week? It can drive you mad from the production standpoint. So a set amount of money that you're dedicating to the show, and you can stipend that out. I find that that's a better method. All right. As you move into your production time, a big part is going to be costumes and props. And everything new, this can get to be quite costly. So it's important to use your resources. As it is any of these topics, use the resources you have. So we'll have a building or a facility, hopefully. Walk around your facility and use your imagination a little bit. Start to think, can we use that cool looking chair anywhere? Those fake flowers are awesome. Let's take those. Hey, CEO, can I borrow that ridiculous hat you wear every day? That type of thing. Then would just kind of reach out to your local schools and see if there's anything that maybe their drama department might let you borrow. The Y typically has a stellar relationship with the local schools, so you'll be surprised at the areas in which you can reap those benefits. And once you determine what you have, it's to kind of call everybody together and just host an informal costume night. Buy some pizza, throw some soda at them, invite friends and parent volunteers and your artsy, craftsy friends, and help them create masterpieces. Sometimes $100 at a local craft store can help create an entire production if you use it correctly. So just make sure that you're being creative. And here comes social media again. Social media is a great way to put out an all call for props and costume pieces. If you just post as your status, hey, I'm looking for a steering wheel from a 1957 Bentley. Can you help me out? You'd be surprised at what people have in their basements, and they're willing to just donate to you. So that's money that you don't have to spend. As far as sets and things go, that can get costly as well. And a cool tip that we discovered during this last production, since we're in such a small space with a big white ceiling, what we ended up doing is using projectors and projecting set images around the space, so the whole space turned into the set and not just having backdrops. And I think that actually came out in our case a little bit cooler than had we had constructed, painted sets. And that didn't cost us anything. So kind of consider, what can I do here for a quick off that's going to be cost effective and still make it look really great. So that's just a little tip. Once you have a performance space and costumes and all that stuff, and you have an awesome staff that are putting together an amazing show for you, it's time selling some tickets. Ticket sales are where you're going to make a majority of your revenue. Something that your boss is probably going to be interested in. The deal. Fill seats ensures that your community members also see your production and how wonderful it is, and then they can spread the word so that you come back next year. This now will make a world of difference when you're kind of reading the production next time, and I'm sure there's some old lady in the community that'll say, "Oh, I saw that show with the Y and it was awesome, so I'm going to come back," that type of thing. There's a few ways to make sure that those tickets move. First things first, pre-sales. Sales guarantee revenue. Some people won't come out if it's bad weather, like there's a sudden conflict, or the show happens to coincide with the next appearance of Halley's Comet or something like that. But if you sell those tickets ahead of time, then you still have the revenue even if they can't attend. And as a young program, that's key. Find people that are interested right now in buying the tickets, and even if they happen to not be able to show up, you still have the money and you can put that towards your next production and growing your program. We make each cast member here at the New Britain Berlin YMCA responsible for selling a minimum of 10 tickets. This is for a couple of reasons. One is this way you can automatically take your size and multiply times 10 to get a base estimate right off the bat of your minimum audience size. And that's a great way to budget. Just think, if we didn't get any more than this, would we okay? It's just important to kind of have that rough estimate. Number one, for your seating, and number two, for your financial goals. And actually, we didn't have any cast members who didn't hit that goal of selling 10 tickets, which is great. And that gives them the accountability of taking pride in their show and marketing their own show as well. Number two, use your website. It's available for sale online. We said this is easy and convenient because, let's face it, people are lazy, and if they have to come out to your facility to buy tickets or order them on the phone, they won't. People are all about that. If they can buy tickets in their underwear, they're going to buy tickets in their underwear, and you hope that they're online instead of in your ticket line when they're buying tickets in their underwear. So, if you have that available online, that's a great resource. Have you created a short commercial and put it on YouTube or Facebook? We did this and, had great success. We took a morning, a couple of hours. We filmed each cast member saying what they loved about the show and how much they enjoyed their summer, why they really want you to come out. And, we edited it down, took a couple hours, and then we put it up on Facebook. And by the end of the day, every parent with every Facebook had shared this, and, they were all excited to present their kid in a good light. And, that's excellent marketing, and it didn't cost you a cent. So that's a big one right there. And ask people to share. Don't keep this stuff to yourself. Everybody's going to want to show this off. You should have posters in every window, restaurant, and school in town. Just make yourself known. The more people are seeing you, the more they'll remember you. And believe me, you want to be on people's minds because there's a lot that goes on during the year and during the summer, and you want them to be the first thing that they think of when they're planning their weekend. I've noticed our T-shirts are a great way to be seen. The fact that, kids need to wear clothes, it's like a law now or something. But might as well be wearing clothes that advertise for your show. So if they have a YMCA theater shirt on with show dates and the title of the show, and they're walking around in a crowd, people are noticed, and maybe they'll come out and see you. So this is a great way to get some cast pride going and to advertise your show. All right. Marketed the show, and we've sold our tickets, and we've hired our directors, and we found a space, and all things that you need to do as a producer of the show, you've done. So now you have a pretty big following, and technically, as the producer of this show, this is a time when you can kind of sit back and relax and enjoy what you've created. That's true, but you're not missing out on opportunities to grow your program during the show. We like to encourage people to live tweet, as this is the 21st century. During the show, we happen to use the hashtag YMCA Theater. I'm unfamiliar with Twitter. The way it works is after your statement, you put hashtag and then kind of a keyword, and anybody that uses that keyword gets grouped into one area. So if you click on that hashtag, you see anybody who's been talking about that category. So by using the hashtag YMCA Theater, all we have to do is click on that, and we see anybody who's posted in the pin about our show. It's a great way to view anybody's comments, pictures, and reviews all in one spot. So, you can kind of collect that information. And the more people that see hashtag floating around, if you encourage your kids to do that and your staff, the more interested they'll be, and they'll kind of take a look at that. Maybe, they'll come see tomorrow night's production. It's kind of a big deal. Also, you have a bill in front of you that people are sitting there staring at when they're waiting during intermission or waiting for the show to start. If you have any empty space in your playbill, that's an awesome spot to market your upcoming programs. Forget about that. Sometimes you put in your cast list and your song list, and you'll have half a page left over, and so put a ridiculous picture of some guy singing on stage there. That could be your ad for a program that you're running next. People are there, they're in your space, and they're interested in what you're selling right now. So while they're interested and they love what they're seeing, put for next time. Allow them to register right there, and that's a great way to build your following and to get the word on the next thing that you're doing. So at this point, I'm going to kind of open it up. If anybody wants to ask any questions, you can feel free to write something in the box or take your phone off mute, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Eric,
thank you.
Super appreciate everything. I have a quick question. How was it in between your sort of, I hate saying the word failed, but the fairy tale program that didn't happen to the kind of reimagining of the show? Like, what time frame was that?
Tale Theater was first posted around October of last year, and then we tried to post it again in November, and it was by January that we kind of evaluated and said that we need to do something big. So we gave it about a 2-month breather time to really gather our thoughts and incorporate the aspects that we'd need to do a big Navy production. And we went with it from there. We went with the first of the year and started off fresh, and it was great from there on in.
Thanks. Inundate, Eric, I want to make sure that if you want to ask a question, you're welcome to put it in the chat function, and we'll or if anyone, I've taken everyone off mute, so if anyone wants to ask a question to Eric directly.
Question from Suzanne Woodward.
Go ahead.
There's a couple. One says, do you know the square footage of the conference room that you used in the Black Box Theater? I don't know exactly, but I would estimate that it's somewhere between 600 and 800. What we generally use it for is once during the week for a Lions Club meeting and a Rotary Club meeting, and other than that, it kind of sits there. We used to have our on-site childcare there, and then this year we moved to childcare in each one of the schools, so that won't be taking place in the room either. So we decided that was an excellent spot to build in the stage. And, there was actually there's a hallway right behind it with 2 doors. So we took the doors off and put curtains there, and that actually functioned as a great backstage pass-through. So it was kind of almost like it was made for that. She also asks, do you do adult production, and who approves scripts? We haven't done any adult productions yet. This is something that we're definitely looking towards. We have several arts and humanities-based programs for adults, such as our a cappella choir and music and engineering. But as far as productions, we haven't run one yet. We hope to. As far as script approval, I do most of the script approval as the arts and humanities director. But in general, I just try to look for a script that's and kind of follows the values of the YMCA. Not saying that you can't do something a little bit risky, but just think about, is this something that my base audience is going to appreciate, and will people from the community want to come and see this? So that's kind of the way that we work that. Thank you for that question.
What do you guys do with the stage? Did you make it so that it's movable?
We built the stage in 4 sections, and we held the sections together with case latches. You can't, if you're looking at that picture on the screen right now, basically drape the front of it. But if you were to take off the drape there, you would see it split into 4 sections. We had a suitcase latch on each section. So if you take that off, casters on the other side, and you can just roll it out of the room. We're hoping to keep it in the space as permanently as possible, but if we did have a large conference, roll that into a large office or the stage area, and that could be housed right there. I have questions from Steve McIntosh.
Yep.
He had a couple of things. What was the cost for the kids to participate in the production? What are your ticket prices? And how many performances did you run? Those are great questions. The cost for production, we have a member cost and we have a non-member cost. So I believe it was $75 a week for members and $85 a week for non-members. And the program ran for 5 weeks. You had to sign up for all 5 weeks because obviously it's something where it's continuous and it's breathing, so you need to be there for the whole time. And we ran this our rehearsals every single day, Monday through Friday, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. So they were there with our staff all day long. It was kind of like it wasn't a camp, but it was a summer workshop that we ran. So compared to many other camp prices, this was right on the level, if not far greater than most middle school students would be paying for a summer camp experience. As for our ticket prices, we charged $10 for adults and $5 for children, and kids under 3 years old were free. How many performances did we run? We did 6. We did 1 performance for some local business owners in the
unmute your line, press *6
we did
or
it at
pound
kind of a
6.
dinner theater, which was because you could take out the removable seats. We put in tables, and we had caterers walking through the space and serving lunch and everything when we did our first performance. The next was just for local camps in the area during the day, and they participated in those shows, and they had 4 performances that were open to the public. Thank you very much for that question, Steve.
Eric, see any more on your end?
I don't.
You obviously, I'm going to assume with the space provided that you were able to use a record of the music.
Yes, we did use a CD. We ran that through our PA system, which was great because, and that's something that I've never done before. As a musician, I'm kind of morally opposed to canned music. But for this space and this production, it was absolutely perfect for us. Number 1, because it was cost effective. Number 2, because the kids got to practice with that recording at home. So it's much different than just plunking them in front of an orchestra for the first time during Tech Week and having them kind of pick their parts out of, the background music. They were able to, get them exactly right, listen to the details of the music. So that's what we ended up doing. Another question from Steve. What total expenses and revenue per production? I don't have that exact number in front of me. I know that we did end up making a profit in our first year. That was something that was kind of unexpected for us, but there are a lot of things that contribute to that total expense. If you were to shoot me an email, my email's at the bottom of the screen there. I could probably come up with those numbers for you and show you that.
Are there questions you guys Thank you so much. Stephen, say sort of what was your biggest, top 2 or 3 things that, people who are just thinking about starting a theater program and haven't done anything yet, what are the things that they could easily avoid that you kind of already made the mistake for them?
Oh, let's see. When we started, we were paying staff hourly rather than by stipend, and that was a big, I would say, detriment, but a financial setback in trying to figure out all those hours and plan and budget for the show time. So I would definitely go with the stipend. Would make sure that you your tickets and marketing out really far in advance, especially in the community. I don't know what all of your communities are like, but I know ours is very rich in the arts, it's something where there's a production on any street, and there's a production going on during the summer, any given weekend in the summer theater. It's something where you want to make sure that you get your marketing on time, and going forward, just make sure that you find those advocates that are going to push for your programs and bring their friends along. Ask how many in your average cast. This cast we had between 14 and 17. We actually had our main cast, and then we brought in our main cast was mostly middle school students, and we brought in some kids that were 2, 3, 4 years old that rehearsed just once a week and joined us for the show. So we had about 17. And that seems to be our average going forward too, as we move into the fall.
So I'm going to kind of give one last call for any additional questions, and please feel free to get a hold of Eric. As you can see, he's very cold and difficult to talk to, and so I'm sure if you email him, it will be fine. Or you can, of course, give him a call there. And so we're going to sign off and say, again, big, huge thank you, Eric, for sharing with us today, and congratulations on the many successes that you've already had. And I'm sure we're going to see this program just start to explode in your area.
Thanks for having me, Kristen.
Have a great day.
You too.